Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our instructional committee meeting of June 3rd, 2024. At this time, I'm going to just turn this right over to Mrs. Latour, and we are going to go through a number of curricula and approve them, hopefully.
Mr. Votto, can you do me a favor and accept the minutes from our last meeting?
Yes, I just noticed that. I thought you were going to forget it.
No.
Can we take consensus of accepting the minutes of the last instructional meeting? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We accept the minutes.
Great.
Okay, Mrs. Latour, you're on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Votto. So this evening, we have 3 curriculum coordinators with us to present new curriculum and revised curriculum for courses that are on our review cycle. We're going to begin this evening with Carrie Laudadio. Just for the public's information, I can't even speak, I'm so sorry. The public's information, and just to refresh the board's memory, curriculum writing is done either after school hours or during the school day. It is led by our curriculum coordinators, and teachers from the department or the grade level participate in the curriculum writing. So it is a guided process. It helps with understanding of the standards and the progression from grade level to grade level in some cases, or in a department, the sequence of courses. And the writing done by our staff, we're so grateful for, because it provides an opportunity for conversation and collaboration on the units and the lessons, but it also assists at department meetings when that curriculum is unpacked and discussed, that there are members from the teachers union who are the writers that can speak to the curriculum and have ties to the curriculum. So this evening we'll start with Carrie Laudadio, who is our 6-12 humanities coordinator. She has 3 different pieces of curriculum for you this evening. We will take consensus after each individual piece of curriculum. So go ahead, Mrs. Laudadio.
Thank you. So I have 3 elective courses to present to you tonight. The first one is Once Upon a Crime, which is a brand new half-year English elective that was added to our course offerings based on a student interest survey we conducted in the fall. And comes on the heels of us adding criminology last year in the social studies department. So this is clearly a trend, an interest trend with our high school students. So I had a team of teachers from both high schools and our instructional leader come together to write this course over 3 days. And in this course, we have students examining the genres of mysteries, thrillers, and crime narratives. It's really our first specialized genre-specific reading elective that we're offering, so we're really excited about it. It incorporates both fiction and nonfiction as well, and we have students kind of examining the differences between true crime cases, both text and visuals, and how they compare to suspense fiction. We also have students considering the conventions of the genre and the ethical dilemmas that authors and consumers have to consider when they think about true crime and being sensitive to the victims and the families of those victims. So we are offering this course to grades 10 through 12 for that purpose, because we deemed some of the content a little bit mature and sensitive. So we have 3 units for this half-year course. We have a 3 to 4 week introductory unit, Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's the foundations of the development of suspense. We have Unit 2, which is a larger portion of the half year. It's an 8 to 9 week look at the comparison of true crime and crime fiction. And then Unit 3 is a 3 to 4 week, the final verdict, and it's a culminating creative project where students sort of take on the role of the author and take a little bit of a go at writing their own mystery or thriller to kind of bring it all together. We also have, with the 3 units, the classroom library selection that was selected and vetted by the writing committee. Title selections were based on reading level, maturity level, and also wanted to be mindful of a range of fiction and nonfiction so that students have a good range of choice. And there's, you know, anywhere from a little bit of romance in there if there's somebody who doesn't want to get too heavy into the real crime. So there's a nice range of thriller, mystery, and then also true crime. And I don't know if anybody has any questions on this course.
Dr. Roscoe?
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I appreciate the work that was done, and this course sounds awesome. And I can't imagine that the students are not going to be like so excited taking it. So I appreciate that we're offering this like very specific type of reading course, because I just think it can really make students very excited, like upper level students, like re-engage excitement about reading. So I think it's great. So thanks for the work on this.
Thank
no
you.
question.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Votto. Do you want to take consensus or do you want me to? You're on mute.
Mr. Votto, you're on mute. You're still muted.
Okay, folks, let's take consensus on this.
Thank you.
Should I do it individually? Yeah, I guess so. Caroline? Mrs. Ramos? Dr.
Yes.
Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mrs. Raccio?
Nope.
No, Versace, sorry. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Reed was on here, right? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
she is.
Yep.
Dr. Reed, yes. And I'm a yes. So it moves
Okay.
on.
Thank you. Theater 1.
Yep. So the next course that I'm bringing for your review is revisions to our Theater 1 course. Earlier this year, I brought a proposal forward to revise this course from a full year to a half year. And this is the curriculum to go with that proposal. So it's a half-year course offered to grades 9 through 12. It's the first of a couple of theater courses that we have offered for students. This is also an interdisciplinary course shared under the humanities umbrella. And we had a team of teachers from both high school come together from both the English and the music departments to develop these units. Theater 1 is an introduction and exploration of the theatrical arts. Students will look at the basic elements of acting, directing, and technical theater. It takes a look at core components of improvisation and pantomime, voice and character, movement, motivation, script analysis, the audition process, theater layout, stage direction and blocking. Students will have the opportunity to attend and review theatrical productions and then define their acting skills in a culminating performance of various scenes and skits of their choosing. One thing that I really enjoyed about writing this course is that it brings together the standards from the National Core Arts Standards and English Language Arts together into a craft that a lot of our students are interested in. And so there's 2 units for this half-year course. There's a 9-week unit focused on pantomime and voice, and there's a 9-week unit on motivation and movement. And I don't know if anybody that has any questions on Theater 1.
Okay, seeing none.
If not, let's take consensus. Ms. Reyes,
Yes.
Dr. Rocco,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay,
Thank you. Our last course under the 612 Humanities is the revisions to AP Psychology.
All right, thank you. So AP Psychology is a course that we've offered for many years. However, it is undergoing some significant revisions through the College Board for the fall of '24. And so we have revised the curriculum overview, and I'm going to just outline a few of those revisions for you. So it's a grades 11 and 12 full year course offered through the Social Studies Department. The full curriculum is provided through the College Board, but the district has a neat little overview here that highlights the key components of the curriculum. So some of the big revisions for the course are that it's now going to be recognized as both a social science and a science. And it's shifted significantly under the science umbrella. So we went from 9 units to 5 core units. And a lot of the original 9 units have been kind of collapsed into 5 units. The 5 units are focused on biological bases of behavior, cognition, development and learning, social psychology, and mental and physical health. Some of the other key shifts are that they have key terms included in each unit. They did a comprehensive review of all of the AP Psychology textbooks and found over 4,000 technical terms. And so it was really too much and pretty overwhelming for students. So they've compiled it into 750 of the most common terms found in those textbooks so that students can have a common language. Because of course, this is a year 1 college course in psychology. So if they were to move into a more advanced psychology course and at the collegiate level, they would have that foundation. 2 other big shifts in the curriculum is argumentation skills are now included in the science practices, and the research method and data interpretation are now part of the science practices. And so in the AP Psychology course, the skills that are now referred to as science practices include content application, research methods and design, data interpretation, and argumentation. We have 2 teachers, one at each high school, who teach the course, and they're both going to be attending a professional learning at the Taft Institute over the summer to prepare, as these are really probably some of the most significant changes we've seen in an AP course in quite some time. And I'll open it up if anybody has any questions.
no questions? Okay, let's take consensus on advanced placement psychology. Mrs. Reyes,
Yes.
Dr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next on the list.
Thanks, Mrs. Laudadio. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, next up, we have Mr. Dave Ullman. He's our Career and Technical Education Coordinator. He has several courses that fall under his general curricular area. 2 are under 3 courses, sorry. 2 are under the business realm and 1 is under the tech ed realm. So Mr. Ullman, go ahead with advanced business management.
Thank you, everybody. So the course revision for advanced business management, we really did kind of an overhaul of the course. The idea being that this course revolves around how to operate and run your own business, starting with how the entrepreneurial spirit and how one would go about starting a business and kind of the ideas and how that's generated, And then most importantly, once you're up and running, as we know, 3 out of 5 businesses fail usually due to the lack of ability in one or more of the areas: marketing, finance, accounting. So we look at each of these areas and how they apply to running a business and what's important about each area. The kids do this kind of simultaneously. They will be working on their own business that they'll create through the year, while also operating our school-based enterprises, the school store, the printing department that we run, and we're toying with some new ideas. We have the Packies, which is our mobile to-go school store that we plan to kind of expand on during different events in the schools. And we have some ideas moving forward on how to give these kids more opportunities to see how enterprises run within the school. So it's a great class. It's a team environment. Kids rotate through groups, so they get experiences kind of at each function of the business. And it's very much student run. We really put a lot of responsibility on the kids to come up with their own ideas, to plan together, to learn how to work together. And it's tough at the start, because they're kind of thrown into the mix, but they really rise to it. By the end of the year, some really interesting things come out of this class. So we're excited for the class. Anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you. So not a question, just a comment, and this could really go for all 3 of the next documents that are going to be looking at. I just want to say I think this is really good. This is very quote unquote real world for our students, regardless of what their aspirations are. If they want to go into business, they have other career plans, they want to go to college, they don't want to go to college. I just want to say I really appreciate you working on this. I think this will be very beneficial for our students.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Fava. Oh, Dr. Roscoe.
It's not a question, so I could absolutely put my hand down. But I just, as someone who went to school for a professional degree and now is running a business without a business degree, I think that this is amazing because so many professions lend themselves to solopreneurship, and having that intention early is really crucial to setting up success. And I'm really for students. So thanks for the work on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's take consensus, starting with Mrs. Reynes,
Yes.
Dr. Roscoe, Dr. Roscoe? All right. Dr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mr. Ross? Mrs. Rosati?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, let's move on.
Excellent, thank you. So the next class that we revised and we're really excited about is home repair and maintenance. We did a real dig into planning this out, looking to find those things that students, as they, now and more likely in the future, will likely encounter in their real lives. The whole idea was to provide them with as many skills and hands-on experiences that we can, that the average homeowner wouldn't have to go out and purchase any, expensive tools or anything complicated that they could do with relatively easy. So we created 5 units. The first unit's all based around safety, and it covers everything from the different chemicals you store in your house and being safe around machinery and motors and paints and the chemicals that go with paints. So it's really important that we cover those things, ladders, anything that you'll encounter, just to give kids a fire extinguisher, how to just be aware of their surroundings. Then the next 4 units, we do a automotive care and maintenance. We keep it cursory enough that, they don't need to be a mechanic, but enough so that they know the basics of what needs to be changed. We want them to be consumers too. So we want them to be able to understand what maintenance on a car is or any real motorized vehicle, and how to do some of the basic stuff themselves. We do a plumbing unit. The kids are going to learn how to sweat pipes and work in PVC. they've started introducing some of these, and it's a blast. It's a lot of fun to watch them taking copper pipes and, you know, adding joints and sweating them and testing them to see if they leak afterwards. They love it. It's amazing. And Mr. Votto, your grandsons are in that class, so I
They
see
love
them
it.
a lot. Yeah, it's great stuff they're doing in there. We do an electrical unit, really in there too. The kids learn from basic wiring all the way through some. I think it's complex. They get it faster than I do, but how to wire switches and change plugs and, you know, a switch to work one plug and not the other plug, and a light and not another, you know, so they get pretty complex. It's amazing what they learn in here and what they're able to do. And then lastly, carpentry and structural maintenance, where they learn everything from, I'll just give you a quick example. They built a wall, and then they took drywall, put the drywall on the wall, learned how to tape it and fill the screw holes, sand it, paint it, look for imperfections, and then they put a bunch of holes in it to learn how to repair it. So it really very functional. You know, having kids myself, I have holes all over my walls, so someday this will be very functional for them. But we wanted a class that, you know, it was very real for kids, and that at the end of this, they would feel like they have a whole set of skills that would apply in their entire life. So I love going in there. This is great, and the teachers have really embraced it. They're very excited for it. So any
I got to
questions?
tell you, this course has made my grandson want to go into teaching. Just that stuff. So
Yeah, we're excited. We can't wait to hire him. Sorry if I overstep.
God, I don't have to get it off the board. Okay. All right. Are we all set with that one? Any questions? Okay, let's take consensus. Mrs. Reynes,
Yes.
Dr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So my last class is personal finance. So as you are all aware, the state passed legislation this year that all students, beginning with our freshman students this year, are required to endeavor on a personal finance curriculum. There's I won't go into the weeds with it, but so in that light, they released a model curriculum covering the topics that they felt were important that we cover. We're very fortunate that our teachers have already been doing a great job of covering it. We went through, and there was just a couple additions that we added, which I think are really valuable. One of the neat ones is how to be a savvy consumer now. You know, I think that's so big right now, you know, with marketing phone calls and through social media and just people getting duped, you know, how to be a savvy consumer and how to be smart. That's one of the newer units we hadn't covered. A big unit on paying for college. I know that all of our students may not be college bound. So however, it's really important that they understand the different types of loans, how that works, how long they'll be paying it, what is subsidized versus unsubsidized. So we take them through that. And then the rest of the course is very similar, you know, everything from how to save, banking and saving, how to invest somewhere. We have an investing course, so we keep it pretty cursory on the investment piece, just trying to expose them to some basic savings and mutual funds and basic stocks and bonds. A little bit about careers. That's an addition to, just to give them more resources on where to find careers. The Connecticut Department of Labor has some really interesting websites that help kids look for the careers that are growing within Connecticut and within their areas. Insurance, right? A whole unit on from renters insurance when they first get out and how important that is, to purchasing car insurance, how to shop around, health insurance, homeowners insurance, and they kind of pervasively throughout the course, the budgeting piece, right? So this entire course involves different aspects, obviously, of a budget. So as they learn these different concepts, they're building a budget over time so they can see how it applies. And by the end of the year, it's pretty interesting when they get to see what things cost. You know, it's a kind of a shocker at the end. I think they're often very surprised. So really good class, very obviously so important these days for kids to be good financial consumers. So, and it's definitely a fan favorite for the teachers to teach because it is just so relevant to anybody's life. So
It's a great course, really is.
yeah, it really is. I mean, it's good stuff.
So I just want to, I want to point out, as Mr. Ullman said, this is going to be a grad requirement. You added this to the graduation requirement policy and regulation back in the fall for all students beginning with the class of 2027. So this is one way to achieve the financial literacy requirement that the state has required. The district is also investigating other opportunities and some of our other courseworks that would meet the criteria put forth by the state. But at least this gets us started we have multiple sections running of this next year in both of our high schools. The state also provided some flexibilities for districts in terms of the certification required to teach this course. It's not just business, mathematics certification can teach this course, social studies can teach this course, marketing can teach this course as well. So it does, while it is a requirement for all students, which means quite a few of our students will be going through this course at any given year. They have provided some flexibility in terms of the staff who have the eligibility to teach this course through certification. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that and the public is aware of that, so that it just adds some context to the course. Any board questions?
Do we have enough teachers
Yes,
to teach it, to
Yep.
accommodate? Okay.
we do. We do.
Any other
It really
questions?
has been super helpful to have all of the different certifications that the state has allowed, because it does provide us to spread out that FTE into other areas so that we can really maximize the number of students who need it, so they're not waiting until their senior year to take it right before they graduate.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, let's take consensus. Mrs. Reynes,
Yes.
Dr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Have
Appreciate
a
it.
great night, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, our last 4 items on the agenda are being presented by Dan Wasbrock. He is our K-12 science coordinator. Dan will be presenting a middle school course, an elementary course, and 2 high school courses, which include a change of textbook. So Mr. Wasbrock, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. So first, I want to present the 6th grade revision. So the 6th grade revision was derived using an open source teacher resource called OpenSciEd, which allows for us to have a shift over the next 3 years that will be durational in learning. So 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade will cover all of the NGSS and engineering standards in a progression to allow for growth over time. As the students dive into each unit, they are engaged with different standards, and they might not master them the first time they see them, but they will see them multiple times over 3 years to improve that durational learning. So this course, being aligned with NGSS, is broken into 6 units. Each unit is really working on developing collaborative practices as well as students learning by doing, putting the materials right into the students' hands. And you'll hear me say that with pretty much all the courses I bring forward. That's what we, as the science department, really want to do, is put those materials back into students' hands and have them do science. The units are light and matter, thermal energy, weather, climate, and water cycling, plate tectonics and rock cycling, natural hazards, and then cells and systems. Each unit you'll see has recommended middle school class periods that it would take. There's a range based on the teacher's autonomy and discretion based on their students. It has a student learning target that's durational, lasts multiple days. It has a guiding question to help drive the instruction and for students to continue to relate to. It has a very brief summary, the overview of what's going to be covered during that lesson sequence. And then the part that the teachers and as well as myself value the most is the section of students will figure out, and kind of allowing the students to self-assess and be aware of the end targets by that block of period of time. And the time is different depending. It really is promoting that collaboration, student ownership, visible thinking, and revision of thought. The sixth grade teachers collaboratively, we worked through all the different nuances of how the students are going to record their thought over time, and we're going to use an interactive science notebook, which will be revision based, which means that as they engage with new activities, they're going to revise their previous thinking, kind of creating a one place for all of their thought to be recorded and to show that progression of thought over time. So creating initial models, revising those models, and coming to an understanding. The best part about all of this, each one of these units, is that they're directly anchored to a phenomena that the students are trying to understand as they go through, learning little pieces of the puzzle, and then eventually being able to put them together collaboratively with their peers. So that's pretty much the short version of the sixth grade course, but it's a very exciting course.
Does the board have any questions?
Okay, let's take consensus. Mrs. Reynes? Mrs. Reynes? Yes. Okay, Dr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mrs. Versace?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Next, we have science, grade 4.
Okay, the fourth grade curriculum collaboratively with a group of teachers developed 3 units. We currently have 4. We consolidated a little bit and made the units a little bit longer to meet all of the NGS standards. We made it very thematic. So unit 1 is going to look at energy. Energy includes speed, the transfer of energy, including collisions, heat, light. It goes through a analysis of how waves move, how light changes over time, as well as the anatomy of a wave. The phenomena that links that unit is solar powered cars. So the students are going to try and figure out how solar powered cars work and how the solar energy transfers to kinetic energy. Second is the changing earth unit. It goes through rock formations, what makes a good fossil, talking about fossil records and how different fossils can be found in different places of the world, why there would be marine-based fossils in the center of the continental United States. Then there's Earth's timeline based on natural changes such as earthquakes, just land formation changes based on how water or wind or land have changed the Earth over time, as well as humans' mitigation strategies to any potential disasters now, talking about things like Superstorm Sandy or different Connecticut-based potential disasters. And then finally, that unit is looking at renewable energy, tying back into that solar car from unit 1 and talking about the viability of solar energy. And then unit 3 is looking at plants and animals through 3 main lenses: how they've adapted over time, how their structure impacts their function, and how they've been designed for survival based on their ecosystem. We are looking at plants and animals both locally as well as nationally. And then there are opportunities for us to look at extremophiles that are global. It dives deep into plants' seed dispersal and the design functionality of that, plant and animal adaptations over time. We're going to look at a lot of specimens, different resin-based specimens to determine structure function, as well as utilizing USB microscopes to really dive deep into the nuances of different species, whether it be animal or plant. Overall, looking at survival and growth, and the phenomena for that unit is looking at how an octopus can move up a glass enclosure, as well as how vines wrap themselves around objects as they grow. All of these units are designed to promote that collaboration and student thought. Again, it has that interactive science notebook component. We are looking at student ownership, making sure the materials are in the students' hands, and looking at that durational learning. The teachers did a fantastic job making sure that day one ties into day two, et cetera, for the entire unit. Nothing is a one-off. They're all tied together, and the learning builds over time. I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, if none, Mrs. Reynes,
Yes.
Dr. Fusco,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mrs. Rosacci,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so we move that on. Thank you. AP Chemistry?
So the AP chemistry, similar to what you heard about psychology, went through some changes, not as many, but we aligned it to the College Board course and framework, as well as instructional sections. There are 9 units covering atomic structure, compound structure, properties of substances and mixtures, chemical reactions, kinetics, thermochemistry, equilibrium, acids and bases, and then thermodynamics and electrochem. The teachers are utilizing the College Board frameworks, including the instructional sections, highlighting not just the content of the sections, but the duration of it and the percent of emphasis on the AP assessment based on the unit of study. This correlates with the textbook piece. I don't know if I should just speak to that at the same time. Is that okay? So the textbook piece was reviewed by a committee from both high schools, the different students. We have one AP chemistry teacher right now at each school, but we utilized their PLG time where there were other former AP Chem teachers so that they had a collaborative approach. They reviewed 3 textbooks. They put forward a textbook that they felt best aligned to support students, especially in regards to problem solving and creating and having exemplary models because of the complexity of the problem solving built into AP Chemistry. They felt that it was a friendly presentation of information and had real world examples. It was decided at both schools that the same textbook would be the best fit for students.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay, if there are none, let's take consensus. Mrs. Reynes? Dr. Fusco?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Daring?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Reynes, I don't think we heard you.
It's a yes.
I'm here.
Now we have a textbook. Yeah, I heard her now. Okay. All right, next item is the textbook adoption in chemistry.
So he talked about the book right at the end, so maybe we could just take consensus?
Okay. Okay, taking consensus on that, Mrs. Reynes. Okay, I got you. Dr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay.
Okay, our last item on the agenda this evening is a course level change. Similar to what you've heard in other meetings, our collaboration with Southern Connecticut has afforded us the opportunity to provide dual enrollment courses to our students. Mr. Westbrook, you could go into more detail with the specifics as it relates to environmental science.
Absolutely. So what drove this was the survey that the high school instructional leader and the teachers provided to the students. That through that feedback, we found that the students were interested in the environmental science, but were looking for something that maybe had a more rigorous approach. So we looked into the dual enrollment opportunity, and working with Southern, we were able to send our current curriculum forward. They were able to give us feedback that it aligned very well with their environmental introductory course. And then we were able to send teachers' resumes and forward for consideration. And they were also accepted as their coursework would be applicable to this course. So I'm here today to ask if the board would allow for the environmental course curriculum as written to be shifted from an honors level to a dual enrollment level at both schools. There are two teachers, one at Sheehan and one at Lyman Hall, who would represent the department as the environmental science teacher if approval is granted. And through this process, we spoke obviously with the students and the teachers, but the administrative team at both schools also thought that this would be a great opportunity for students.
I think
Any
I
questions?
missed. Go ahead, Dr. Roscoe.
I just wanted to say thank you. I always appreciate when we're looking to improve the rigor of our courses and give students the opportunity for dual enrollment. It just really sets our students up for so much like accelerated success in college. So thank you for the effort that goes into that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Votto?
Okay. Let's take consensus. Mrs. Reyes, Dr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Daring,
Yes.
Mrs. Versace,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank you,
And
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you
Mr.
for your
Westbrook.
time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't think there's anything else on the agenda. So
There is
at this time, I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.